This is Margaret Ann Windsor. I say that because a name that I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. Um, I don't know if I'll ever get my name back or not. I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 1941, and my own uncle, George VI, helped kidnap me with Roosevelt. Joseph Kennedy was ambassador to Great Britain, 36 to 46, helped take down my father with the New World Order, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, etc. I want to use or borrow from a statement made by Virginia Attorney General Cuccinelli when he said not too many months ago that some bells just can't be unrung. And that's so true. It's done. History, unless it's corrected, will be a lie. Um, so I want to show my father, King Edward VIII, the real King Edward VIII. I want to show the double that married Wallace Warfield Simpson and became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, which was a total lie. That wasn't my father. He was married to my mother, O'Keefe, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. Here's the double and Simpson. This is the Kennedys that they got up. This is the 17th, Sunday of November. This is Elizabeth George the Sixth, the illegal monarch that helped kidnap me and take down his own brother and sold out to the Americans. Um, this is Larry Flynn. I was flown out there in '83 twice in October during a political campaign. I went there for political support when Larry McDonald, the congressman doctor's plane, was shot down. And by the way, I had he written about him in a book I wrote in '77, '78 about mind control and what could be done with it. So, but I'm not saying that much about it here. I've done videos and Facebook and everything about it. I couldn't get it published because it's been an ongoing crime against me in front of everybody and with everybody's support against me, really, 99% of it. Um, I think for someone to hate me because of what they and their government has done to me is it was so appalling. The response, I didn't find out until '83, by the way, and the Brits told me who my father is, and my mom. But this is Larry Flint when I was flown out there, and then I ran for president, which I guess some people took it for a joke. But here. Now then, what I wanted to say here was, with all the money, when you take a hostage, it wasn't just money that Elizabeth stole. Sure, you can look pretty when everything's done for you. You're spending my money and the British's money, and that was done by both Elizabeth and the Kennedys. The Kennedys were mafia. How many people died? Marilyn Monroe, everybody knows that. Dorothy Kilgallen. How many people died because of the Kennedys? Um, they talk about it's hard. I'm 75 years old and I can't walk. I've had chemicals used on me, not just April the 1st of 80 when I was still full of antifreeze and should have died. I had brain damage and but it's ongoing from way back. In 63 when Kennedy was shot, I want to show real quick and I'll get back to that. They've shown and called Jackie Kennedy how beautiful she was and a trendsetter in the clothes she wore. Well, I might say I didn't look so bad back then. My life was hell, but I didn't in my younger days. Had I had all the money and that was mine, I could. I would have looked pretty good too, and did with what little I had. If you're going to base this on looks, it's beyond me because her son John, I had to live on the Appalachian Trail. I came to Roanoke in '06. Sorry, in yeah, '86 October, and I actually lived on the Appalachian Trail, which is a rough way to live even in the summer, in the ice and cold and starving. So it's a little hard to take and see here because so many people know it. And they talk about how nice Kennedy is, and I heard, well, anyway, I'm not going to say that. It was a news program. It's all over the news about Kennedy and how nice. They don't say a word about Kennedy flew in with his father in 1940. It shows him flying into England, and he wrote the book about while England slept. Well, I'm not too sure they slept. Anyway, they didn't forget me. I don't know if I'll ever get to go home, but they tried. And that I won't forget. Now, I want to say that John Kennedy came up, and I've said this before, and it was in early spring of, I think, '93. He came up the old trail off Mountain Pass Road in Troutville. It's just outside Roanoke. So he had bothered, it's before the new trail was put there. So I saw him coming up there. It's 1.5 miles up from Mountain Pass Road, and he had a guy with him, and I remember saying, "You look like John Kennedy." He says, "Well, I am." And I thought at first he was joking, but he wasn't. And he said, "I just came up here to see how you were living." I guess I don't guess, he found it fun, he and his buddy, that I was starving and living on the Appalachian Trail. That's where they had put the real monarch. And then they called Camelot. They kept talking about Camelot, the Kennedys. Not one word of truth about my father, about my mother, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. They don't even mention her in history as marrying my father. None of it. They just have a 99-year seal and a lie, and then they have nothing about me being born and the real monarch, Victoria II. None of the truth. So I guess I'm leaving out, and I'll have to hurry to get this video on. I guess it's the 50th year and nothing of the truth, and so many people know it. They know about the mind control murders, which was used in the Kennedy. They've assassinated me. I did want to say this. I went to Hyman Miller, was a psychiatrist in Huntsville, and this was in, I think, '91 I went there. So in '93, Kennedy was sending, the civil rights and all that, I believe, into Alabama, and that's where they had taken me, and that's where NASA began in Huntsville, a few miles away. So Kennedy very well knew what was happening to me. The illegal diagnosis that allowed Hyman Miller, and he was Jewish, and his wife was a German Jew, and Berg was his anesthesiologist, and she was Jewish, and her husband was Jewish, Dr. Berg. So for years, they busted my brain with electrodes. I'd go in twice a week. My husband would take me in. And over the years, I don't know how many electrodes I had put to me, and I hope the world has to see it. For a non-existent illness, a lie, murder, she wrote, diagnosis murder. And I was prescribed and given psychotic drugs. I am chemical sensitive, allergic to industrial, some household chemicals, and it's due to something the two men brought. Well, I know what it was. Who brought me over and left me at Lina Dempsey's in Moulton, Alabama, a hellhole, a pigsty. So I guess that's this is the part they don't tell. They're making heroes out of the Kennedys, and everybody's so talking about conspiracies. I've told it. There was mind control used in that one. There was in Oswald, and the guy that shot him, and the people that died thereafter. That I think there was 21, and I'm going to have to stop and get this uploaded. But part of what I wrote about in '77, I had worked for a cardiovascular doctor, and I was very aware of one patient that was, I don't think he's chairman of the board, maybe he was right next to Dixon, I'll go ahead and say it. But in him, the doctor had put done a heart bypass, and they'd put a chip in him, and you can control their decision making. They don't even know it. So I'm not going to get into all of how it's done, but I do know, and I've put it on former videos. If they're really going up, I don't know. They're supposed to have been. But it's very hard to listen to the praises of the Kennedys and not one word of truth mentioned about my father, my mother, an uncle that took him down, Elizabeth, an illegal monarch who has lived a life of money, wealth that she stole and took her own country down with her. Well, she's still there. I still have hopes that the law can work for me. But I'll stop on this. It's like I borrowed the words from Cuccinelli. It's a bell that can't be unrung. But you sure could try by telling the truth. That would be one step in the right direction, America.